Demented, deranged, and rotting all alone at Mar-a-Lago, Donald Trump is having a catastrophic Sunday as Americans across the country continue to protest his dastardly regime. The protests are not getting much coverage on corporate news. We've been covering them here at the MeidasTouch Network, including giving you a live feed with our friends at Status Quo about the protest in Minneapolis. Yesterday saw tens of thousands of protesters in Minneapolis, and we saw protests erupt across the country, everywhere from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C., to Austin, to New York City. We've seen massive protests against the Trump regime following the cold-blooded murder of Renee Nicole Good, while Donald Trump is out in Mar-a-Lago. Okay, Donald Trump on the taxpayer dime right now, he's making posts like this: the entrance to Mar-a-Lago. And then he posts what the golden front door of Mar-a-Lago looks like, that the taxpayers are essentially footing the bill for right now as Donald Trump takes yet another vacation. Then Donald Trump on Sunday morning, while these protests are taking place, Donald Trump posts this bizarre photo of himself on top of the White House. And then it says, soon. This is what Donald Trump is posting. Then he posts the following: the case for pardoning former president of Honduras, Juan Orlando Hernandez, one of the biggest narco-terrorists in history, El Chapo's buddy, who brought in massive amounts of drugs to the United States and then was convicted at a federal trial in the United States, where there was evidence that showed that Juan Orlando Hernandez, in addition to making millions of dollars along with his brother for smuggling drugs into the United States, says, get those drugs up the gringo's nose and kill him. This is who Donald Trump pardoned. Also, Donald Trump has pardoned the biggest Ponzi schemers, the biggest people convicted of fraud. These are Donald Trump's buddies. Then Donald Trump posts the following: Marco Rubio will be a great president of Cuba. And then Donald Trump says, sounds good to me, that Rubio will be the president of Cuba. So there are going to be more wars and more regime change right now. There's going to be war everywhere. War in Venezuela, war in Cuba. What war? You've threatened Colombia. You've threatened to invade Greenland, which, by the way, now NATO is considering sending troops to Greenland as a way to push back against the Trump regime. And the European Union is contemplating the possibility of sanctions against American corporations if the Trump regime does indeed invade Greenland, which the Trump regime, according to multiple reports, has actually ordered the special forces to come up with an invasion plan as an option if Denmark does not give Greenland to the United States, or if Greenland does not agree on its own to secede. Then Donald Trump posts this AI photo of himself in Cuba smoking a Cuban cigar, and then saying, the finest in the world, Cuban cigars. Again, that's what Donald Trump. How about, rather than posting AI images of yourself smoking Cuban cigars, I don't know, how about you deal with the fact that tens of millions of Americans are losing their health care right now because you and the MAGA Republicans despicably refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act subsidies, and now people can't afford their health care. And then in a few more months, or right after the midterms, this is how you timed it, there's going to be tens of millions of Americans who get kicked off of Medicaid. I mean, what a despicable regime. So then Donald Trump sends his goons to make their rounds on the morning shows, and to further defame Renee Nicole Good, say her name, Renee Nicole Good, to defame her and to defame anyone who peacefully protests this despicable regime. They label them domestic terrorists. So, for example, on Meet the Press, Tom Homan was asked, so do you agree when Kristi Noem labels Renee Nicole Good a domestic terrorist? And the protesters that we're seeing, are they domestic terrorists because they protest what the regime is doing? Watch Homan's answer. Play this clip.
You know, if you look up definition of terrorism, is there violence? Is there threat of violence based on an ideology that wants to change the way the government does what we do? Look up the definition of terrorism.
But was Secretary Noem correct to label her a domestic terrorist, Mr. Homan?
Look, we don't know what, I don't know what Secretary Noem knows and what I know. I can tell you is what they did is illegal. And if you look up this definition of terrorism, it certainly could fall within that definition if you look at the definition of terrorism.
But you don't have evidence.
Pardon me?
You don't have evidence that she's a domestic terrorist.
I don't know what Secretary has that I don't. I'm not going to judge what the Secretary says, but if you look up the definition of terrorism, it certainly can fall within that.
And then Kristi Noem was on CNN this morning, and Jake Tapper asked her, so can you give me the distinction between the January 6th insurrectionists who attacked the police officers versus, you're saying, the peaceful protesters in Minneapolis? So explain to us, what distinctions does Donald Trump draw? Here, play this clip.
I just showed you video of people attacking law enforcement officers. Undisputed proof, undisputed evidence. And I just said President Trump pardoned all of them. And you said that President Trump is enforcing all the laws equally. It's just not true. There's a different standard for law enforcement officials being attacked if they're being attacked by Trump supporters. We just saw that.
This individual and these instances and these investigations all have to be taken and done correctly in context of every situation that is happening on the ground.
Next, Kristi Noem is asked about, what do you see in the video when it relates to Renee Nicole Good? Because it looks like she was just making a three-point turn to move away very slowly, and the officer escalated the situation and shot her. We all saw the video. Kristi Noem's like, we shouldn't ask what's on the video. What we should be asking is, why are people even arguing with Donald Trump? He just wants to make you safe. So don't even argue with him. Just buy the regime propaganda. This is a regime in Putin's image, folks. Play this clip.
The question is, what was she doing when she was moving her car?
The question
is
why are we arguing with a president who's working to keep people safe? Why are we arguing with law enforcement operations that have gone on in this country for years, and we're working to collect murderers and rapists and drug traffickers?
Then Tom Homan was asked about the $50,000 that it's alleged that he took in a kava bag, in a restaurant bag, as a quid pro quo for favors for a client of his within the Trump regime. Watch what he says when he's asked about that. Play this clip.
Bottom line, I did nothing illegal. I did nothing, and the FBI and DOJ reviewed this. No credible evidence I did anything, because I didn't do anything illegal.
But was there $50,000 in the bag, and did you return it?
I'm not giving the story anymore here. This is an attack on my integrity and my professionalism. I'm not addressing it. That's a question of the FBI.
Can you address, given that it's been recorded, did you keep the money? Did you return the money?
I did not keep any. $50,000 is ridiculous. The FBI has been clearing this, and it irritates me. This story keeps going on and on and on, even though I've been found to do nothing inappropriate. So I'm not going to ask any more of these questions.
But just, did you return the money?
I didn't have any money to return.
Okay.
I didn't take the $50,000, bottom line.
Let me ask you, you're saying you did nothing unlawful. Would you be comfortable with the FBI releasing the recordings of this incident?
That's a decision of the FBI.
But it might be a decision for the FBI, but would you be comfortable if they released
Again, I'm not
those
getting
recordings?
I'm not getting ahead of the FBI in this investigation.
But can you just say, on a personal level, would you be comfortable releasing the recordings?
I am not going to get ahead of the FBI. That's their decision.
Okay. All right. Mr. Homan, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
We greatly appreciate it. When we come back, Democratic Senator...
And then Tom Homan is asked, well, how can the public even trust what the FBI investigation is doing into the murder of Renee Nicole Good if you're not allowing Minneapolis and Minnesota officials to be involved at all in the investigation? Like, they've always been involved in investigations. State and federal work together. Sure, federal may take the lead, but they don't hide the evidence from the state investigators and city investigators. Play this clip.
One thing for the FBI to take the lead in an investigation, certainly that is something that we are used to seeing. But for state and local officials to be cut out altogether, are you comfortable with that? Doesn't that undercut the transparency, the sense of faith in the investigation in the eyes of the public?
First of all, that's a question for the FBI. I've never worked for DOJ, but listen, I trust that the FBI would do a thorough investigation. They're professionals. So let them do the investigation. Let's see the investigation.
Should the autopsy be made public?
That's a question for the FBI, but I certainly will tell you that the FBI will be part of the investigation. Like I said earlier, look at the ballistics, look at the forensics. Where did that fatal shot come from? All that will be part of the investigation.
Okay,
Now let's take a look at what was going on when Mayor Frey, the mayor of Minneapolis, was speaking with Jake Tapper, and Jake Tapper kind of asks him a little bit of a both sides-y question. And do you bear responsibility for the rhetoric when you called the shooting of Renee Nicole Good reckless and malicious? And then the mayor's like, yeah, because that's what it was. We all observed what happened. Here, play this clip.
I want you to respond to what she said about you telling ICE to get the F out. She says you and the leaders in Minneapolis have been demonizing ICE officers. And it is true that you've been critical of Secretary Noem for her quick characterization of the incident. But you also said on Wednesday, quote, this was a federal agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying. Does your rhetoric need to change?
Yeah, I said this was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying because that was a federal agent recklessly using power that ended up in somebody dying. It's exactly what happened. I mean, am I biased in this? Of course, and I'm biased because I got two eyes. Anybody can see these videos. Anybody can see that this victim is not a domestic terrorist. I mean, my goodness, she's like doing a 3 or a 4 or 5 point turn. This looks like somebody that's trying to get out of there. If doing a 3-point turn or a 4-point turn is a domestic terrorist, and my wife is a criminal every single day. It does not make sense.
Now, checking in with Lindsey Graham. What's Lindsey Graham saying? Play this clip.
I have faith in you, Mr. President. I have trust in you. You are the Ronald Reagan plus of our time. In this will. Stand with the people, Mr. President.
Illinois Governor Pritzker chimed in this morning. Let's hear what he has to say. Play this clip.
They are, ICE and CBP, are breaking their own protocols. You read them earlier, their own protocols, and not only roughing people up, but literally shooting at people and killing them. When in some cases they're U.S. citizens and they're doing nothing wrong. So this is why I have said that the president is not following the law, why Kristi Noem needs to resign or be impeached, and why Tricia McLaughlin should not have the job that she has. She's a pathological liar. She's their spokesperson.
Governor, you just...
And also the various Trump regime departments and agencies keep on posting like Nazi stuff. Must be a coincidence that they keep ripping off the Nazi phrases. The U.S. Department of Labor in this bizarre video says, one homeland, one people, one heritage. Remember who you are, American. And it's literally a ripoff of the Hitler propaganda. I mean, they're literally doing the Hitler propaganda. As Bill Burns, former CIA director William Burns, says, imitating autocrats is not a winning formula. That, it seems to me, plays right into the hands of our rivals in Moscow and Beijing and further undercuts our allies and our partners. I do want to mention this as well. As we look internationally, Donald Trump said that the United States would immediately engage in military action in Iran if the Ayatollah and the Iran regime killed the protesters in Iran. Well, we're learning that there were at least 490. It could be as many as 500. That number is going to get higher. Protesters have been killed by the Iranian security forces. 10,600 protesters have been detained. And so Donald Trump made a social media post where he drew a bright line and said there would be a United States military attack on Iran if they killed the protesters. Well, they've killed the protesters. So I guess the question is, will we be reporting on another imminent war there soon? Now, I want to bring this up too. While we see these mass protests and demonstrations across the United States as well, let me just show you what we've seen ICE agents doing, in addition to obviously shooting people in the face and attacking people and terrorizing communities. This video was brought to our attention at the MeidasTouch Network. This is in Brooklyn Center area in Minnesota. You're going to watch here an ICE agent slipping onto his back and then accompanying what appears to be a female. Not sure if it's a female detainee or we need more information about what's happening here. But there's a female who looks like a detainee is being brought into a porta potty by the ICE agent, and another agent waits outside the car. Watch this for yourself. Play this clip.
Oh, y agarraron a alguien. Ah, por... Ay.
¿Qué? ¿Por qué?
Agarraron a alguien, llevan a alguien.
¿Cierto?
We need to get more data on what the heck happened there. If that was it, who was going in there? Why were there two people in there? That's very alarming and very concerning for a lot of reasons. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Thank you for watching. And anybody who knows more about that video, please let us know too about who was there. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million.
New Meidas merch drop! Check out the latest pro-democracy sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more. All at store.MeidasTouch.com.